Good deal. We'll give it about a minute or two. I know there's a lot of people logging in here, both remotely and on video. And this is good stuff, man. It seems like forever since we've actually done this, so I'm excited. We had the holiday last week, and then of course the holiday this week, but there was some reason why we didn't have it.
Did you have the quarterly L10 last week or the week before?
Oh, that's right, on Monday. That's right. Good memory, Ian.
No, it's not binding.
Ian, better. Yes.
Not until the attorney
What's that?
does their.
I said Ian did better on the SAT than I did.
We have 3 days
Good memory.
before. That's called a preliminary.
Still didn't choose to go to Cornell after that though.
The only way I got into a good colleges was because of athletics.
Oh, nice. Yeah, basketball, right?
These academic waivers. That was my friend. That was my buddy. You know. We'll give it one more minute as people are logging in here. This is good stuff. Let's see here. Oh, all caps. Somebody said, can you make sure that everyone has their mics on mute before we get started? Got it. This is good stuff. So, okay, I just got a note from somebody to say, hang on another 30 seconds. This is good stuff. I see Brandon's on. This is good. Brandon, that's good. You're looking good. And then Steve in Louisiana. Glad to have you. Steve, are your teammates going to be on as well? Is Sharon and your colleagues there? You're on mute. Sorry. I may have muted.
I saw Sharon and Steve.
Got it. Well, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get started here. What I wanted to do for, some of you are new, and I'll highlight a couple of folks that are new. But this will be the first time that for some of you that you have seen me or that you've sort of really met me, because some are new additions to existing branches. I'm Rick Rock. I'm a corporate vice president of Shamrock Home Loans. I'm on the leadership team, sort of running the ship on the retail side of things, along with Bruce. And so we have this video call once a week, every Monday at 12:30 Eastern. And my objective for this call was very, very tactical. It's not pie in the sky. To me, I think the best leadership, quite frankly, for any one of us is really rolling up our sleeves and actually getting in the mix of things. If it's not directly supporting you, it's helping any one of you in the work that you do. And it could be actively engaging with realtors. We saw Paul in previous sales meetings, Paul Salmons, our VP of retail, kind of go through some of his strategies he uses to engage with realtors in the Boston market. Or calls that I've done with you when I called the credit union down in Key West, Florida, which I have an update on today. I talked to the credit union bank CEO regarding being the preferred lender. Right. There's a lot of ways of driving volume. And in the most common way, obviously, is targeting realtors. I don't think real loan officers do enough in targeting lawyers or financial advisors. In fact, I just had a meeting with I was with Sarah Bear in Central Massachusetts. We were talking to some financial advisors out that way. And it was really ironic to James Bonds. There we go. That was all you. I was surprised when I was meeting with Sarah at a local. Sarah, what was that event? It wasn't it wasn't like a Toastmasters event. What was the event?
Yeah, it was a combination of a realtor event and a B&I group.
Oh, B&I. Yeah, it was a B&I group, and we were talking to a financial advisor that uses sort of guaranteed rate, and he actually is surprised at the lack of phone calls he gets from mortgage loan officers, seeing if whether or not he would use them for their business, and it was really interesting to me. now and within BNI, there's only like one mortgage representative and there's one representative from each vertical, and he had a pretty tight relationship with Guaranteed Rate. But it just was it was a reminder to me that if you're not saturating your presence, if every realtor in your market within a 4, 5, 8, 9 mile radius of your market, if they don't know who you are, you're just not making enough phone calls. Okay. And if there's any, reluctance in that regard, even the top producing realtors, they should know who you are. And I got a list of realtors from Paul Agliata in Myrtle Beach, 10 of them, in fact. And I'm going to call them. I'm going to call every single one of them and just to tell them that I'm calling them on Paul's behalf. As a member of the leadership team, I'm here to support Paul in Myrtle Beach. And the benefit there is if they can't get a hold of Paul, I want them to feel free to be able to get a hold of me if they have a question on a deal. Okay. It's remarkable how few realtors actually exercise that connection. But I almost 100% of them feel, and have told me that they feel that it's unique and really good that they have the opportunity to call somebody at corporate. I mean, think of the value that the number one problem I hear across all the realtors I speak to is that they simply do not get sufficient communication from their existing lending partners. Roger West and I were on a call, Roger, I think it was day before yesterday, or maybe this was yesterday, where the one builder, what did he say?
He was shocked that you were even there, that you were on the call.
Yeah. In the other part he said was his existing lending partner, the communication that he'd been using for the last year had been so bad that it kind of had led him to have the conversation we had with him yesterday. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Roger's been excellent in Virginia. I drove through Virginia, and you probably saw on social media that I stopped by to see Roger, and which was awesome to see him and his little girl. And then I was able to meet with one of his referral partners, and she said the same thing. She was like, "It's amazing that someone from corporate would take the time to drive through, meet with her in person, shake her hand." And to kind of give Roger the kind of support that our hope is to give all loan officers out in the field. And I think they even gave you a deal or two since then. Is that right?
Yes.
So that it's amazing what that sort of personal connection in relationship can do for you. So with that said, what I want to do, so welcome. So that's who I am, and welcome, of course, Brandon, which we'll introduce here in a second, along with Ray. But I believe Micah is on as well. I think he might be on by phone. Micah is one of our new addition loan officers in the Charlotte market, which we're really excited to have him on board, reporting into Michael Frazier. With that said, what I want to do is I want to hand it over to Joe Drew. Joe, are you on? I don't see you, but you might be on.
Yeah, I'm here, Rick.
Oh, there you are, buddy. Why don't you give us, so Joe's out of Portland, Maine. Why don't you give us an update a little bit about what we're doing here at the 28th of the month and how that's sort of progressing?
Yeah, so we've got something pretty cool going on. Rick's been helping me out quite a bit with it. So it's funny how this came about. We've got two realtors who run a team out of one realty group, a mother and daughter team. And it's kind of interesting how I got involved with them. They actually had a bad experience with a loan officer, and I kind of came in and saved the day, so to speak, by really just not doing anything special, but just responding to phone calls and emails and making sure a loan got closed. And since then, we've really tried to expand that relationship. And bringing Rick into the fold and having meetings with them, we found that, one of their long-term goals is to break off from this group that they're with and go out on their own eventually. But in order to do that, they really need to kind of start building their stable of other realtors and to join their team. So Rick had a great idea to just, throw a realtor appreciation social really as a way for us to, or really for them to use it as a recruiting tool. bring a bunch of realtors from the local market, say thank you, have a few drinks, celebrate such a crazy year, but target good producers to get there so they can, recruit those people to join their team. And also, for us to be there and to make face and introduce ourselves and expand our network too. So we're hosting a drinks and appetizers afternoon here coming up at the end of the month at a really cool bar. It's a hard seltzer bar, which is pretty unique, and it's in a really pretty cool downtown area of Portland that's been kind of booming over the last year or so, really blowing up. So hopefully we'll get some really good traction, but it's a way for us also to show commitment to Joanne and her daughter Jess, that we're here to help them grow and not just just be a lender to help them get loans closed, but actually help expand their business too. And Rick's been a huge integral part of this planning and this relationship building.
Hey man, I appreciate that, and quite frankly, it's my efforts are hollow without your efforts on the street. So I really do. I appreciate your legwork on the ground and your relationship building with them. And this has been a long time coming. Can you all see my screen with this time to celebrate?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was something that our creative design team developed, right? And this is an event we're doing October 28th. We're inviting all realtors in the Portland market to come to this event, right? I've set a budget of about $1,500. We're going to have sort of an open bar and appetizers, that sort of thing. And this is the Realty, the group here, the Team Palladino Realty One group. Now they're the top producing real estate team of a larger team of 56 agents. So our hope is to try to penetrate not just more and more of the business of the top real estate team of the Palladino team, but also to penetrate additional business from above and beyond this particular team into the real estate group. And so what we did is we actually had this Palladino team come down to corporate. I introduced them to our underwriters. I introduced them to Dean and Rod, and I had them actually do a video using our videography team that we have used for this Eventbrite invitation for realtors in that local market. All right. So what we're doing here is now that's all set up. We have the invite. We got the professional video of a realtor inviting other realtors that we want to celebrate you. And the partner, lender partner, Shamrock Home Loans. Okay. And now it's all about communicating this to realtors using MMI. Okay. Now, my hope, if we can get 20, 30 plus realtors in a room, it's a huge success. Okay. We get 2, 3, 4 deals from this event. It's a wild success. And that if Joe, and as I know he will, but if we perform on our end and Joe performs at his end, we will absolutely create a pipeline for the company and for Joe for future months and future deals to come. I promise. And as Paul said about a week ago, all you need is 3 or 4 solid referral sources from solid realtors to keep you very busy. You could do 2, 3, 4 million a month in volume. Once you get the legwork in place and you get 3 or 4 realtors in place to give you that pipeline of business. And this to me is how you do it. So if I'm Crystal or Marshall in Georgia, I'd be selling this like crazy. I'd be saying, look, why don't we do this once a quarter? We're going to help you recruit new agents for your brokerage firm. How about that? Does that interest you? If it doesn't, then maybe we pivot and say, well, what about a past client appreciation event? Maybe let's invite your last 90 days of clients who you closed loans with or who you closed deals with. And we will do, Shamrock Home Loans will do, whether or not we did the loan. Why don't we do a realtor in a client appreciation event once a quarter of the last 90 days of deals that you guys did? Okay. And then while we're at that, why don't we invite people you have in your current pipeline? Let's invite them to that social. And then while you are in that, why don't we invite other realtors to that event, maybe to help you grow, or maybe people you want to recruit to help you grow, right? I'm telling you, this is a linchpin concept. A linchpin concept. I would talk, and I would talk about this on every single realtor I spoke to feel out what it is that the realtors are, what intrigues them. What do they want, right? What is it that can give you something that's different? And not just once a year. I'm talking about, let's commit to doing something that's once a quarter. I mean, these events are anywhere from $500 to probably $2,000, depending upon the event. Okay. And the economic sides of things, we can figure that out. Okay. We can figure that out. But let's get ourselves thinking. Let's not talk ourselves out of opportunities by creating all kinds of obstacles of, well, what about the price or this sort of thing? We'll figure that out. Okay. And then once this event's now it's just a matter of promoting this on social media. And this is a really cool, it's a really up and coming trendy bar and kind of hangout place in Portland, Maine. All right. So great job, Joe. And we have a few more weeks to really showcase this, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's move on to David. Tell us about Miami.
All right, so similarly, we have a happy hour event at a place called ER Bradley's on October 21st, and it's very similar to the event you were just describing. We're gonna have drinks, we're gonna have food, you know, we're inviting realtors like crazy. We've been hammering the phone like crazy to try and get people to come, right? Ultimately, the goal of this event is to help Treasure recruit more realtors so that they can grow their pipeline and then ultimately grow our pipeline, right? To sort of funnel it that way. But yeah, like you were saying, you know, it's a very interesting concept because, you know, we get to grow the relationship with Treasure and then see them grow and then, you know, see us grow at the same time.
And I really tip my hat off to David and Carlos on this because of this relationship, and it's taken 90 days or so for us to build this relationship. But because of this relationship, they're now getting 2 to 3 leads a day to follow up with. Now, there's a lot of hustle and a lot of phone calls and a lot of, you know, chasing borrowers and opportunities. But it's really yielding a tremendous opportunity. And as a result, Carlos is scheduled to do about $2 million in business almost in the month of October, just from this relationship alone. And it's taken about 90 days to build. And the hope is that David, as a new originator, is to kind of work his way in there so we can start doing 1 to 2 units a month and to kind of start building that kind of production momentum.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I noticed, I want to add a little bit. And what I've noticed is that they're really impressed with us because we stick to our word, right? I mean, not just with this event, you know, a lot of realtors, in fact, have told me personally, like, oh, when you guys first came in, we thought you were bullshitting. Because when we first came in, they were like, oh, do you have a 4 national program? And we were like, no, but we'll get it. And then they're like, oh, do you have an ITIN program? We're like, no, but we'll get it. And they literally told me, oh, we think you're BSing. And we're not. We have both of those programs. And they were really impressed by that. You know, and it just goes that, you know, you follow up on your word, you know, and then they start to trust us, you know.
David, I love that because that was their number one pain. You know,
Right.
mortgage companies promising them the world and failing on delivering what they promised. And so I, from a life standpoint, I try to do this. I don't always succeed. But the point is, I really try to follow through on what I'm committing to do, whether it's
Exactly.
phone calls to realtors or whatever. I may not get to it right away, but I use the pressure of my commitment to follow through on what it is that I'm committing to. Okay. Like, let me repeat that. I use the pressure of committing to what I'm committing to follow through on what it is that I'm committing to. Okay. So I'll openly say, Paul, I'm going to commit to you and, 60 other people here that I'm going to follow up with these 10 people on this email. Now, on the realtors that you've provided me. Now I'm putting myself on a pressure hook. And that's almost how I do my best work. I mean, I got my PhD. I got my PhD largely because I put myself on that pressure hook of delivering against deadlines. Okay.
Nice.
In this particular video, this is a video. Can you guys see this video here? This Treasure's View. Okay. This was a video that they did. And it's really, really, I could not be more proud of the work that they did. Now, this was done through, I don't even know if you guys can even hear this, but this is done through
Your credit score is going to affect your
this was
interest
originally
rates.
done
So
through
what are the factors that
the Treasure Realtor Group, and of course we had showcase in the front was David and Carlos. Okay,
Hey
now
everyone, welcome back to another episode of Treasures
their
Here.
Today we're going to be
um,
talking about the
videography
four C's of
crew.
mortgage lending.
But we also spent
Qualifying for
our
mortgage can
videography
often be
crew
overwhelming for a
down
person.
there to do more
So today
video.
we are understanding what
And
lenders
so I encourage you, I'm going to send you the links to this. I wonder if this will even, okay, here. Can you guys see this particular email? Okay, so this was our videography crew being sent down to Miami to be able to do videography for them in their agency. Look how cool that is. And this was one of the videos, which I'm going to open and play for you and try to see if I can get.
Plenty of knowledge and professionalism. Our main priority.
Well, I don't think you guys can see that. I don't think you guys can see that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a link to the videography that we did, the videography that we did, so you can get a sense of how high caliber our videography is. I would put our videography against Supreme, Fairway, Cross Country. I would do that against any of them because I'm telling you, we're that good, and our response time is a lot faster and be able to serve and support you guys. Okay, but part of this is I would add this into the quiver. I would add this into my daily conversation with really good producing realtors, right? That we're going to earn their business by, but this is the types of things by saying that we can do these things and actually delivering upon them. And success breeds success, and the momentum becomes sort of exponential. Any questions on that? Anyone?
Yeah, Rick, I just wanted to add that we're doing exactly that with another office in Weston, a little bit further south, where we're showing them all the stuff we're doing with Treasure. And we're saying, look, this could be us, basically. It's like, this is the blueprint. This is what we could do together. You know, this is the value that we provide, you know, and it's not just going in there and saying, oh, let me get your business. You know, it's like, here's the value. This is what we can do for you. You know,
I love it.
Maybe we'd like it.
I love it. The last update, what I wanted to do was the credit union. I spoke to the credit union CEO. To remind you, about a month ago, I spoke to a credit union CEO, cold called her, never spoken to her. She had a warm relationship with our Mr. Pat Labrada down in Key West, Florida. And I cold called her. She didn't know me from Adam. In fact, it was my second phone call. I called her. I left her a message one time. The second time, I actually got her on the phone. And I had her on the phone with all of you on the phone. And I walked you through the conversation of how I try to sort of build that rapport and add value to that credit union relationship to see what it is that her needs really were. And I asked a lot of questions. I didn't talk really about Shamrock a lot because I try to say, look, Shamrock could do anything. We can do everything in the world. So the point is put aside what Shamrock can do because it's irrelevant. Okay, I'll end up highlighting a bunch of stuff you probably don't even care about. So let's talk about what you want to do. Let's just assume we have all the money, all the resources, and all the capabilities of any mortgage lender in the country. We can do anything. So let's focus on what you want to do and not so much what we can do for you. Because what we can do for you is going to be hit or miss. You know, I don't want to go through that game as, well, we could do this, we could do that. And they say, well, we don't care about those things. We don't care about videography because we have our own videography team. Okay, well, that's not of value to you. So why would I emphasize something they don't care about? So let's focus on your needs, and then we can line up our resources to support them in their needs. And that's what I did with the credit union. And the credit union loved it. I talked to them today. I'm updating the proposal today. And then we'll probably go out there in November to give a presentation to the board to have a kickoff of their members and some kind of relationship for the first quarter of 2022. And that'd be great. And like I said, if this could give Pat a million or two a month in new business, I mean, it's a no-brainer. So, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do to entrench us in these local communities. But I would never, if Pat, hold on, Paul, if Pat wasn't already doing 1 to 2 million a month in production, I wouldn't have gone down this road. I would have said, hey, Pat, let's get your production up first. Let's build your base of business first. And then let's do these credit union kind of relationships, because these relationships can take 3 to 6 months to put together. 3 to 4 months if it's going Rick Rock velocity. Okay. But generally speaking, it's 3 to 6 months and before a meaningful relationship gets established. Paul, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I took a phone call, so I put myself on mute, and it was Lance Stopper. And the group
Oh, yeah.
doesn't know who that is, but I have an MSA that now Shamrock has taken over, but it was fueled by my last lender, Loan Depot, who completely single-handedly trashed my reputation in this small town of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I had asked Rick to call up about 10 different realtors that I was partnering with to hopefully build up the trust and the confidence again. Anyway, we just had these sales ideas. I love these weekly meetings. And I took a picture of, I think it was David or Ray was explaining what they were doing. And I just basically, this broker of record just called me from the office where my office is now. He's got about 10 realtors. And I've been a little sheepish to talk to him. I was kind of putting the pressure on Rick to do, but I took a deep breath and I read to him what you guys are doing. I think it was Dave and Ray. And I said, we'd like to celebrate 2021 with you. And I just read verbatim what was on there. He goes, Paul, that sounds fantastic. We love you. We're looking for a way for you to come back and start doing loans. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. What a win-win that was. So thank you to David and Ray, and to Rick.
Yeah, it was David and Carlos.
David and Carlos, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No, well, let's, forward me that script that you were reading from, or that talking point thing that you're reading from, because I'll review that and then maybe send that out in my post email from this meeting here. Thanks for sharing that, Paul.
Okay, you're welcome.
And like I said, I love having you and Nancy on the team, and you guys, Paul has more energy than any of you guys in your 30s and 40s have. It's amazing. It's amazing between him and his wife. It's incredible what you guys can get accomplished. So with that said, what I want to do is I want to hand it over to Ray. I want to introduce Ray Severance and Brendan. Brendan, I'm trying to remember Brendan's last name. Ray, what? Brendan, I'm trying to find you on my screen. BMC.
I know, that's a tough one. Begins with an M. Ends in Clay.
Exactly.
Sounds like.
Look, I love having you guys here. I really look forward to getting to know Brandon more. I don't know Brandon as well as I know Ray. I do know Brandon played professional soccer, which was kind of a cool thing I heard through the grapevine. And I know Paul out of Boston plays on a soccer team. He wants to get Brandon recruited to his team.
He almost had me.
So what I wanted to do was introduce Brandon and Ray, and they just joined the company. These guys are basically right out of the pool. They're still dripping wet from a transition. They got to dry off and kind of get acclimated which is a weird analogy, but first thing that came to mind, to Shamrock Home Loans. And what I wanted to do was ask Ray to say a little bit about himself, where he came from, what sort of attracted to him about Shamrock, and I want to sort of talk to him about what his sort of attack plan or plan of attack has been. And I think, Ray, you started 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's been less than a month. Yep.
Yeah. So go ahead and just introduce yourself briefly, and then let's start getting some questions knocked out.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Excited to be part of Shamrock. I've been in the mortgage industry since 1997, and my initial start was kind of fresh out of high school. I had friends that were in a broker shop, and so that was my first experience working for a small local suburban broker shop, which ultimately my wife and I purchased in the early 2000s and ran that for about a decade. And then when the market started to shift in the late 2000s, ended up going to a correspondent lender and then a non-depository. So been in the business for a little over 20 years, and it's been a really great, fortunate opportunity. And My book of business, being in a small town, being in a very blue collar environment, has always been very consultative. And I've always enjoyed that. My clients typically need a lot of hand holding. They have a lot of unique situations, and it's really created a great fan base. I think my approach going into business is always trying to care for my clients. And I think that transcends in a lot of our conversations. I enjoy being part of the process with them. I enjoy walking them through what can be a very anxious, difficult, complicated process. And I think when we get to that finish line and we celebrate together, they have a high level of appreciation. So always trying to pinpoint those opportunities to shine in that during that process has been an important part of the process for me. I would say probably about 65% of my business comes from past repeat or referral clients. And then the other, 30-40% comes from agent referrals. So I spend a lot of my time thinking about how can I glean new opportunities from my closed database. And that, there's a number of different tactics I have there. And then, certainly similarly with my realtor base or referral partners, whether it's, CPAs, builders, financial planners, so on and so forth. And so certainly, leaving a company that I had been with for a little over a decade, having tried and true systems and, cushy seat in my office that I had been for a long time took a big shove. But I think what made the decision for me to come to Shamrock was because of how I integrated with my clients, having that close relationship, having that sense of value, being humbled about the opportunity to serve them. I wanted to align with a company that felt similarly, that we really have an opportunity to serve our clients and help facilitate such an amazing goal for them that I think how a company sets themselves up, how they manage their process, how their chain of command works, right from the executive team through underwriting to processing to the guy or gal on the street. If they all have that same attitude, a client can feel it or an agent can feel it. And so that was really important for me to find. And I've been pleasantly surprised with what I've seen so far at Shamrock.
I love it. Now, Brandon, did you also come from RMS? I believe you did, right? I don't know if Brandon can hear me or not. It looks like he might be frozen.
He did.
Right.
Yep. Brandon came with me. Yep.
And how long has Brandon been in the business?
Yeah. Came. I'm trying to move to. Ray and I were in the same room. I have that echoey. So can you hear me?
Again, you're frozen. I don't know if it's if you have bad signal or what have you.
He's left the building, but Brandon's been in the industry for a little over a year and a half now. And obviously for him to jump in during COVID was a good thing in the sense of a lot of refinance activity, but it inhibited his ability to get there on the street to really create some of those new relationships. So he's had to find creative ways to get his name out there, to shake hands virtually. And he's done a great job. And I think because Brandon and I have a very similar value proposition, a lot of those characteristics of Shamrock caught his attention as well. If I can speak on his behalf, since we don't know where he is. I think he's in the basement now.
No,
I'm like running around corporate office trying to find a spot.
Well, what I love about you guys is you really have experience versus, in essence, a new entrant in the business. And so I think that's a really solid sort of combination. I think, and of course, given your experience, Ray, you're able to really mentor him and really help him keep organized. Ray, coming out of the gate, and I'll ask sort of Brandon the same question if he's able to answer it. Right out of the gate, what do you think are your priorities when in getting set up and running with Shamrock?
I think first and foremost, it's having a plan, really breaking out your week, your month, your quarter, and doing things consistently. I love some of the attitudes about committing to what you say you're going to do. I find that both clients and agents, they have a lot of needs and they have a lot of anxiety. And when you tell them that you're going to follow through with something and you do so, that means a lot. And I think in this business, accessibility is significant too. And being available when they need you, it can be difficult, it's straining, but I find that just being able to be responsive before they pick up the phone and call the next guy on the list has been critical to growing my business. So certainly when I map out this last quarter, I've got a client event being planned for first quarter 2022, and we've got some agent training that we're planning where we offer continuing education credits for our agent partners, and then we've got a community summer program. So for me, I'm always kind of breaking up my target or my audience into clients, into partners, and into community. And really trying to think about how I connect with each one of those groups, how often, what tactics. So really, again, just working it backwards, what does success look like for me? And then mapping it out in a way that, really I can win the day, which allows me to win the week, which allows me to win the month and win the year. So it's a business plan that I have tweaked over the last couple of years that I feel works well for me.
I love that. Have you hooked Brendan up with a coach, or are you using an outside coach as well?
Currently, no. During this specific transition period, I'm not working with a coach. I have many times, and I think it's invaluable.
Yeah.
Even though I've been in it for a long time, I certainly don't know it all, and there's plenty more I can learn. So I think as the market shifts and as I get my feet planted well here at Shamrock, that's certainly something that I'll be looking into.
Because I love how you succinctly broke that down: clients, partner, and community. And so like one quarter you do something for past partners or existing partners, and one quarter you do something for clients, and another quarter you might do something that's baked within the community.
Yeah, just to give some examples, we have some community events that we always participate in, whether it be charity races or business downtown events that we'll be part of. We'll throw up a tent and just shake hands. With agent parties, for example, typically every year at the beginning of the year, we'll do a let's celebrate the year, let's congrats to the previous year and good luck, goodwill. So we'll kind of do like a New Year's themed party where it's an after hours. We invite all the local agents in, share some drinks, give them a nice gift, and just let them know that we're for them, we're for their success in the coming year. It's well attended, really enjoyable. And then an example of a client party could be typically every year we would do a come to the office, pop by real quick, grab a pie for the holidays, drop off some canned goods so that they can feel like they're part of the community as well. And it's just a great way to shake hands with our clients. The one that I've got coming up first quarter 2022 is we do an annual comedy event. So we'll have normally about 200 clients come and have a couple of comedians, drinks on us, and just a fun, laid back way to just say thank you to those who we had the privilege and honor of working with during the year. And it's been a success. I think we're going on our, dare I say, 12th or 13th year of doing our comedy event. Yeah.
And that's incredible. I love that engagement. The comedy event is fantastic because that's a great date night idea for clients. It's a great date night idea for real estate agents. I
usually get offered to get picked on. The comedians somehow always find me out, and I'll get hazed a little bit, but it's all for good fun. And yeah, it's a great night. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to attend that. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 65% past repeat clients and 30 to 35% agent referrals. Now these are agent referrals none of these are really new agent referrals. They're just agents that you've done business with over the X number of years that they just send you their business, right?
Yeah, I think strategically every deal allows for an introduction to a new agent. You typically either working with the buyer's agent or you're working with the listing agent. Sometimes, and many times in my case, it's the buyer that comes to me and they bring along their buyer's agent. So sometimes I have two partners there to kind of connect with, and I just create certain little touch points along the process to weave in subtly the expectation that when we hit the finish line, my goal is I brought value, I brought deadline commitments, I brought ease of process, and at the end, I'm always fishing for that introduction or that invitation to lunch or to find out how I can bring more value to them. So
Outside where?
That was Michael Frazier. I love that. Ella, I want you to listen to that point because Ella is one of our newest originators that's been out of the company last 3 months or so, and she's in Southern Illinois. Not new in the business, been in the business 4 or 5 years, but she came from a depository, so it's a little bit it's a different kind of environment. But she's extremely well networked in the community. So sometimes it's like when you're in a community, you almost feel like you're in an ocean, you're swimming and you don't know what direction to swim in, right? And what I love about your approach is that it's so tactical, it's so specific. Like, I have a closing, I have an opportunity. Let's. I mean, it seems common sense, but it's amazing the things that loan officers, when we get caught up in the flurry of activities of having to manage so many of these activities, it's easy to almost get your eye off the ball of what it is that we're trying to do. And it's build relationships, establish referral networks, and really take care of, what I consider, the 3 legs of the stool, the borrower, the borrower's agent, and the seller and the enlist agent.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray, this is
go ahead,
Roger.
Roger.
Can you touch on what some of those touch points are? I mean, what do you do to try to weave in?
Yeah, great question. And depending upon how the agent came to me, so if it's a new buyer's agent that I haven't met with before, I'm certainly going to give them a personal phone call. Just wanted to introduce myself. Joe and Rebecca Smith, they came to me to help with their financing, give them some level of assurance as to how qualified, what direction, just generally speaking, really make them feel like I'm accessible, make sure I send them a text. Normally, I try not to send a generic pre-approval because I really want the agent to get back in touch with me. And again, that's where being responsive and available comes into play. And so then when they have a property that they've picked out and they're running it by me, just another great opportunity to walk through the thought process of why we're going to do what we're going to do. And then what I find oftentimes is it gives me an ability to kind of help posture up the buyer's agent, giving them some sales skills, or how we can go in with this particular deal, or how we can make the offer, try to do it collaborative and not step on their toes in any way, but try to, right from the beginning, let them feel like I'm on their team, I'm on their side, I'm thinking what they're thinking. How can they get their check, which means they have to get an accepted offer? How can I help them? And then certainly once their offer is accepted, I start mapping out what the expectations are, how I communicate. And I always ask them how they want the process to look. What are some best practices for them? How often should I be calling them? What kind of communication would they like? I still have to be true to myself, but I always want to try to accommodate them as best as possible. When disclosures go out, when the appraisal's been done, when the approval's been made, when the clear to close has been issued, and certainly start weaving in the listing agent on some of those milestones as well. So normally on any given transaction, there is 3 to 5 touch points along the way that where I'm connecting with each and every agent. Again, all building up subtly. We're on the same team. Look at how well we navigated this process, how easy it was, how much communication there was, so that when we get to the finish line and we did what we said we were going to do, and the experience was enjoyable and seamless, hey, great, can we now get together and can I help find ways I can bring more value to you? Because I think what I've found is it's very easy to let the business run you. It's very easy for the coming emails or the current phone calls or the fires that have to be put out to run your day. And in some way, you could almost feel that you'd put a hard day's work in. You can almost feel that you did what you were supposed to do. But that's really not your goal. Your goal is really on any given day to run your business, not have your business run you. And so the most critical things are, how are you creating value? How are you building relationships? And how are you engaging with new parties? If you let, I got to send this email, or I got to put out this fire, or I got to call this, deal back, this issue back, you'll be busy all day long, and you can end the day like, I'm tired, but you're not really doing the strategic things that are going to help you grow your business. And so I think mapping those things out, having a system in place where these are the critical things I have got to do to continue to grow my business, that's been something that's worked for me at the very least.
What I love about that, Ray, is that there's no question that to the best that you can be, you're in command of the process, and you let the realtor and the borrower know that you're in command of the process. I love that because that's really good leadership. And we're in a unique position to provide that kind of leadership because there's so much of the back end that we can see and we have control over that the realtor and the loan officer and the rather the borrower just don't have.
Can I add something there, Rick?
Oh, Paulie, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Ray brought up some great points. I mean, so many things I want to touch on, but at the end there, it was really important what he says. I mean, there's such a fine line between revenue producing activities and perceived revenue generating activities. And it's the biggest downfall for any LO where, to Ray's point, you could be going through a day thinking you busted your ass. And I mean, the work ethic was there, but if you are not doing specifically the right things daily, you could be in a whirlwind of mess and scratching your head and getting frustrated and, not getting good sleep at night because you're not getting the results. So I think that's absolutely critical that, and, we're all going to help roll some of that stuff out, but really know what you're trying to do and what actually brings results versus what you think might bring results. Big difference there.
I love that. To kind of dovetail on that point, there's so many people that do activities. They'll make like non-revenue generating activities, and they'll prioritize the bulk of the revenue generating time of the workday for those activities, whether it's paperwork or whether it's research or whether it's compiling lists and organizing your database, that sort of thing. Do that on the weekend or early in the morning or late at night, because you only have, roughly maybe not even 4 hours a day. It's probably 9:30, 10 to right before lunch, 11:30. So maybe those 2 hours, 9 to 11, and maybe 1 to 3. Because I mean, realtors hate being, you don't want to talk to somebody at 6 o'clock during the weekday. With a realtor, because they're either going to be with their family or they're going to be at a showing or something to that effect. So there's only about 3 or 4 hours a day of productive sales time where you can connect with realtors. I talked to a realtor today, and she only works, it's like really Tuesday through Saturday is when she works. She takes Sunday off for church and family, and then Monday that's her business planning day, and she's sort of off the grid. But Tuesday through Saturday are her prime work days, right? So being conscious of what you're doing at a time when you should be focusing on what it is that I'm doing right now that's going to generate revenue, that's going to drive my pipeline, versus things that I could be doing offline or during non-work hours to be able to support your business. I love it. What other questions might people have for Ray? Sarah Bearer, what about you?
I knew that was coming.
You're always my go-to, Sarah. You know it. So Sarah's in the Marlboro market, or Marlboro slash. You tell Ray what market you're in.
Central Mass.
Yeah, Central Mass.
Okay. Yeah.
Any questions for Ray, Sarah? I'm going to put you on the spot.
No, you definitely put me on the spot, and I usually come up with something real quick, but yeah, I don't got nothing right now. Yeah, I mean, I think that Ray makes great points. Definitely learning points for all of us. So thank you, Ray. I'm excited to have you on board and to grow here in Massachusetts. It's really cool. I love it.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
And what's your advice to like Brandon? And I don't even know, Brandon, I know you're still on, and I'd love you to chime in too, Brandon, because being new to the business, Brandon, you're trying to play catch up, right? So you're trying to apply like a daily discipline, hoping that it's going to yield some kind of result with your realtors. So how are you structuring your day, Brandon, as you get acclimated to systems?
Can you hear me and see me now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great. So thankfully I do have Ray that sits next to me most of the days. So been learning from him these few years that I've been now a loan officer. So thankful that I have a mentor that sits right there and I've kind of at least shadowed, aligned myself with what makes him successful. It's people. I've seen him on the phone and be able to deal with situations, very systematically, where to me or anyone else listening might see it as like this, blown up situation. And Ray just is very much, hey, nope, this is how we got to go. This is the direction we need to head. So he does a very good job and just kind of, ease in everyone's emotions and is able to, present what's needs to happen and so on and so forth. But, learning from him on a daily basis, it's all about relationships and building, your sphere. Once you build a few, couple of realtors, it kind of keeps, pushing out. And, that's what it's really about. I have a big community at the gym. I also own a fitness center. We have about 450 or so members there. So trying to very carefully kind of strategize how I want to play that, and just learning how to create touches along the way, so it's not overwhelming to someone and come off salesy or something like that, but to be personable, to leverage the position that you're in. It is, it's important to strategize and not just jump in and expect to have 19 people want to have lunches with or create, again, relationships with. But so
Brendan, what I love about what you just said was you're new to the business, right? So you're focusing on your core sphere of influence, and the first sphere of influence you have is your gym, the people you work out with, the people, of course, you own the gym, so people are coming and going, and that's a delicate relationship, right? Because you don't want people to feel like they're getting solicited. They're there to work out, right? So the question is, how do you subtly put into the conversation that you are a mortgage banker, you can help them with their refinance or their new purchase needs, or their friends and family, whether or not the timing may not be good for them, but it could be good for someone they know. Being able to work that in, I think that's really smart. I know that Ella, who I referred to earlier, her family owned like a tire and auto shop down in Southern Illinois. Like her father retired and I think he sold his business. And it was kind of like a Firestone kind of tire and auto shop. But it was called Brailer's Auto and Tire or something to that effect. And so her immediate focus was, I want to network with the people who are clients with my dad, and people who are and this was a family business of 40, 50 years. And it was something that she was able to sort of piggyback off of while she was getting to know, realtors in her community and getting her, the word out about what she did. And that's going to be different for everybody. Not everybody, the one time a month I go to the gym, I don't think it's going to be quite as effective. Maybe it's
how hard did you go though? One day.
Exactly. An hour of that day. But I think that, but my sphere of influence is going to be different than what Paul's could be, or what Michael Frazier's is going to be is. And that's why these types of things are going to be there are things that Ray and Brandon and Paul and others can teach you, but at some point in time, you have to personalize it. You got to figure out where's the rubber going to hit the road in my life, in my community, with my core contacts, with my experience. I was an engineer for 5 years. I worked in manufacturing facilities. I have no problems going into when Marshall in Georgia, when we called that one automotive manufacturing facility with the HR director there, I was very much in my comfort zone and being able to communicate with them. Me having worked in public education, I have no problems, talking to, teachers unions to see if I can say, hey, how about we provide you with a discounted mortgage for all union members in your union district, right? How can we be that preferred lending partner for you and all of your members? It could be teachers unions, it could be plumbers unions, it could be the United States Postal Service Union. I mean, there's a lot of large unions. The local chapters of AFL-CIO, a lot of them don't have mortgage relationships because they don't feel comfortable having that conversation, right? Well, I have no problems having that conversation. So if you have ideas like that, and that's my value and benefit to you guys, I can't help you structure deals the way Paul can or the way that Ray can, but I can definitely help you build relationships that we're going to be revenue generating and lead generating relationships. So any other feedback, Scott Chopis or or Jessica Thomas in New York, not to call you out, Jessica, but you are one of my favorites there in New York. Any feedback from what you've heard as you try to apply some of the things we've discussed here and from this call?
So I think you make some extremely valid points, like the structure and giving yourself those deadlines. I too am one that work better when I have a deadline. I don't want to say necessarily a procrastinator, but you do work a little bit harder as that deadline gets a little bit closer. Unions, that's a great thing. A while back, Terry Rossi and I had gone over, like your COI pie, and unions were nothing I would have thought of. I have connections to unions, so that's a conversation, Rick, that I'll eventually want to have with you. But
I love unions. Unions are loyal. That's a great resource. I've had great success with unions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've thrown out a lot of really cool ideas and areas. The only thing that I can say, especially for like Brandon, who's super new, is literally like be yourself. Like if you're the gym guy, like literally a Shamrock t-shirt, or welcome to your new home on your gym, and it and there's a little shamrock next to it, like little things to ask or to make people ask those questions. Your gym's never had the shamrock. What's the shamrock on the door for? And it forces them to ask a question, and then you can just kind of lead into different topics from there. But yeah, a lot of good information today. Awesome call.
That's great. What about you, Scott Chopis? Any comments on your end from down there in Fort Mill, South Carolina?
Yeah, actually, I had a great weekend this past weekend. Just being real with people and taking chances, I think, is what I'm really getting from this too, is, get outside of your comfort zone. I met with some realtors, had a great rapport with them right from the very beginning. And they actually initiated calls back to me to set up a dinner coming up on the 21st of this month with their whole team for me to be able to present all the different ideas and stuff. So I love the ideas, and I think just pushing me out there is what it takes.
I love it. Well, what I'm going to do is any other comments, Brendan or Ray, as we close this out, just any feedback you have as you look to for October and the seasonality of this business, any comments at all? And this is totally free filling, so there may not be any comments. That's why.
Yeah, just one last thing that it took me a long time to learn. When I was in the business early on and cold calling, I would end a lot of days very frustrated because I felt like if I could just do something, if I could produce a widget and feel like at the end of the day I was successful. I mean, it was always this temptation to maybe go get a part-time job. But what I found was really trying to figure out a game plan each day where I could map out some objective things so that when I finished the day, I could say, okay, I was successful today. And that doesn't have to be 5 days a week. It doesn't have to be 4 weeks a month. But what I've learned is what we do is such an amazing business. We get paid to help people with a very significant goal in their life. And I think when we can take the posture that we're serving them, but at the same time, we have people that find us and work with us, they're fortunate because we care. We're going to make sure they don't get screwed. We're going to bring them through a great experience, and we're going to take care of them. So we actually kind of owe it to people, especially those we know and like, and to let them know what we do and why we do it. Because if they end up working with us, we're both going to win. And that's really what they want. They want someone that's going to take care of them and that they can like and trust. And certainly we are in a wonderful position to get compensated for doing that. So I think just shifting a mentality to help us step out a little bit more confidently and let people know that we have a willingness to help, and we should be confident about that. We should be excited about that and really not feel like we're begging for business, but we're going to be helping people, and what a great business we're in. It really is.
I love it. Well, look, I appreciate your comments, and I think if Brandon is still on, I appreciate Brandon kind of running around the corporate office to try to get a word in edgewise and catch a cell phone signal.
It was a tough one, but we managed it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate Jessica's advice to you as well on leveraging your network in your area. Jessica, I really appreciate your involvement and your leadership in this process. So good. Well, we've gone 10 minutes over. I appreciate everyone's time and attention on this. If you have realtors, as always, if you have realtors or builders or anyone you want me to call, I'm available to you to do so. Oh, Ella, do you have something to say? I see a hand. Are you raising your hand, Ella?
I don't, Rick. I was swatting a fly.
Oh, oh, that's hilarious. Okay, well, I appreciate everybody, and I look forward to next week. Let's rock it out.